Hey guys, and a very warm welcome back to my channel. We have already begun with the internal security and introduction, and we have talked about what is internal security in detail, and we also talked about the issues of national security and all, and I have already discussed all the important concepts and definition related to that. And now we'll be moving a step further from that, and we'll be talking about the internal security threats before India. Okay, what are the different kinds of threats before India? We'll be having a detailed discussion on that. Okay, so before beginning, this is you're watching, if you're new to this channel, this is Awan Anju this side, and we are preparing a series on free UPSC preparation. I've already uploaded many of the videos where we already talked about the India's bilateral relations with the rest of the other countries. We talked about that, and we have completed all of that. Now we have begin with internal security, and I've already made a video on introduction on internal security. You can watch that video before watching this because it will give you a more context, and this is basically in continuation to that. So it would move in the form of series, and I would preferably tell you to watch the previous video and then come to the next video because they are usually in continuation. Okay, and this is completely free, there is no fees involved, and in 1 year we're going to be covering all the syllabus. Okay, only one thing I want from you guys is to just subscribe to this channel. This is very important for us to keep us going, and in order to tell us that yes, you guys are benefiting from this. So just subscribe, like and share. If you like the video, just share it with your friends also and give us a like, and please do subscribe to this channel. Okay, this is the only thing I need from you. Completely free coaching for you guys, just because we are just giving time and efforts, and you are also giving your time to me. So would just like you to just subscribe to this channel. So okay, so now let's come to the topic of internal security threats before India. Okay, so as you all know that India is a diverse country, and we have many of the different history. Okay, there are many of the historical factors, there are many of the geographical factors. Okay, we have a different geographical location, have different kinds of various different kinds of features in its own within the India I'm talking. Okay, then we have a various political issues as well, political factors, not issues. We have different geopolitical. And guys, I'm writing with a mouse, so just pardon my writing. I'm just going to write the basic keywords here, and it's more going to be of a vocal kind of video where we'll be discussing more and I'll be writing less, but you can of course write my words whatever I'm speaking, because that is going to help you in your answer writing. Okay, so where various geopolitical, we also have cultural factors. Okay, we also have various ethnicities in India, so we have ethnic factors, and we have socio-economic. Okay, and diplomatic. So there are many of the different, these are all the different kinds of factors. Okay, and these factors, somewhere there is an interplay between these factors, and these factors together, they give birth to, because they are diverse in themselves. Okay, so they give birth to kind of a diverse and complex natured security threats, or challenges for India. Okay, now what are the different threats? Before that, I would like to just give me a second, I'll change the ink color. Okay, so what are the basic threats different kind of threats which are involved in the internal security issue. First one, or okay, first one is terrorism, very prominent in India. We're going to elaborate on all of them. Okay, next is left wing extremism. This is kind of a topics that we are going to cover within this broad topic of internal security. Okay, I have written the wrong extremism. Okay, then third one being, okay, in left wing extremism, usually Maoist movements, Maoism. Okay, and we have Naxalism as well. Naxalism, we'll be discussing the details of Naxalism also. Okay, so this one. Next is militancy. Militancy. Okay. Fourth one, insurgency. Insurgency. Okay, basically insurgency seen in northeastern parts of India. Northeast. Fifth is, sorry. Fifth is religious religious fundamentalism. Sixth is like, you can say nowadays cyber terrorism is also very prominent. I hope my voice is clear. Yeah. Okay. And seventh one is again something called as organized crimes. Organized organized Okay, so organized crime includes things like drugs, okay, smuggling, counterfeits of fake currencies, okay, gang wars, money laundering, okay, and terror fundings and things like that. These are known as organized crime, where the people organize themselves into groups and they usually commit these kinds of crimes. Okay, like if you talk about the drug smuggling, so there are big groups, big network. Okay, so that's what is known as organized crimes. Now moving forward, I've mentioned many of the basic things, and the first point that I mentioned as a threat, it was terrorism. So this is very important as far as India is concerned, because in India there are like many instances, and India is one of the worst affected countries of terrorism. Okay, and it is very important to discuss terrorism. Okay, so first of all, what literal meanings of terrorism is fear. Okay, so terror is fear. Okay, so any indiscriminate violent act of an individual or a group or an organization to create fear in the minds of people, in the minds of common people. Okay, with their political, religious or ideological aims. Okay, and this is what is known as terrorism. Although there is no kind of a straightforward definition, but more or less what I said, everything is included in what comes under terrorism. Okay, so when we want to know about terrorism, so there is a important institution that comes into play, that is known as IEP. Okay, Institution for Economics and Peace. I'll write here also. It's important. Okay, institution institution for economics and peace. Okay, so this is a institution. It is basically a kind of a think tank organization which have the headquarters are there in Sydney. Okay, in Sydney they have the headquarters, and they yearly they publish a GTI. GTI is Global Terrorism Index. Okay, this is what they publish. This is called GTI. Okay, and it's basically a kind of a report they publish every year. Okay, and they also create a global terrorism database from this. Okay, so why this is important? Because it is going to tell the extent of terrorism in different countries all over the world. Okay, so recently they have published their 18th edition. They have recently published their 18th edition, where of the report, which was published in the year 2020, very recent. Okay, and they usually, on the scale of 0 to 10, they are going to they're going to rate, they are going to basically judge the impact of terrorism on different countries. Okay, so in that list, India has got 8th rank on the scale of 8. You can say, not rank, but you can say a scale of 8. That means very high. Okay, and the GTI value was, Global Terrorism Index value was 7.353. Okay, so as you guys can see that India is having 8, which is very high on the scale. So terrorism is causing huge economic and emotional losses for the country year after year. Okay, so I just told you economic as well as emotional losses. Okay, and usually people overlook the emotional losses. Okay, but you need to look at it very, in a very very matured way, because the emotional losses are going to affect every citizen to the extent where even economy couldn't. Of course economy is also very deep, but it is, emotional losses are even more, troublesome for people, because they leave deep impact on them emotionally. Okay, so basically emotional losses here means deaths which are happening due to terrorist attacks. Okay, so let me talk to you about the economic losses as well, and we'll talk about the emotional losses as well. Okay, so firstly economic. So when I talk about the economic losses, so of course there are many of the economic losses on the account of terrorism. Okay, just a second guys. Yeah, okay, so there is investment crime. Okay, the crime, where the crime has happened. Okay, where the terrorist attacks happen, their investment of course gets very much restricted. Okay, people don't want to invest in those areas which are highly affected by terrorism, so the investment would get affected. Okay, and there is a thing that is peace and development. How are they linked to each other? Okay, so how are peace and development linked to each other? So it is kind of a reversible reaction, where impact of one generates impact on the other and vice versa. Okay, both of them generate impact on each other. Okay, it is not a cause or effect, it is cause or effect, but here both the entities involved are having equal and opposite reactions, not opposite, equal reactions on each other. Like if peace is increasing, development in that area is also going to increase. If the development is increasing, then vice versa, peace is also going to increase. Okay, and Of course, with the decreasing development, peace would reduce, and with the reduce in peace, the development would also reduce. So this is a kind of a interchanging, in chemistry we say it as a reversible reaction. So you can just note it here that it's a kind of a reaction which is going to move forward and backward. Okay, not going into science, but it is something like they are highly interdependent on each other. Okay. Okay, so there is a global economic impact data which came recently as in 2020. Okay, and there is a global economic impact of terrorism. Economic impact, if you are going to study, so there was around 26.413 billion dollars. Okay, 26.413 billion dollars was in 2019. Just for the comparison, okay, 2019 it was 26.413 billion dollars. Okay, and if we compare it to 2018, then it was like 25% less. You can see that as the terrorism increased, so in 2018 it was 25% more than this value, which reduced in 2019. So you can just see the impact. 25% is a big, huge impact. Okay, and you know what, the India being a South Asian country, in South Asia also it is one of the most impacted region as far as terrorism is concerned in the world, in Southeast Asia only. So you can just see, as I already told you, it comes on the scale of 8 from 10. Okay, so it is like very high levels, just 2 degrees less than coming to 10. Okay, so very high impact. I would like to share with you a graphical representation to make this, so that you guys can understand it even more better. Okay, so I'm just going to create a graph. Okay, okay, so I'm going to add a king here. So if I say that this is 2015, and if this is 2019. Okay, so if I would like to compare the number of deaths with increasing the year, I'm just gonna take two different colors for depicting them. Okay, so if I let me draw this. Okay, okay, and this is the number of deaths. Okay, and also if I compare it with with the amount of like with the intensity of the terror attacks. Okay, so this comes something like this. So this is the terror attack. So you guys can see that somewhere, if we compare 2015 with 2019, so the trend in the terror attack has declined, and vice versa, deaths have also declined. Okay, so this is a good representation. So number of deaths which are caused by terrorism, as well as number of the terror attacked, they both between 2015 and 2019 decreased by 20%. So you can see the difference. Okay, so it decreased by 20%. So I would recommend you guys to draw this graphical representation. You can use it in your that answer writing as well. You can depict it. Okay, so I mean another thing. Okay, now if I come to the emotional losses, so in the terms of lethality lethality rate means the rate at which deaths happen due to terrorism in India is at 0.5. Okay, 0.5 in, this is the figure of 2019 that I'm talking about, lethality rate. Okay, number of deaths, lethality rate is number of deaths per attack. In one attack, how much deaths have happened? So of course, it has reduced, but like if you can see in the comparison, so you can just, अभी तो आपको ये लग रहा होगा ना कि it's like just a small number, but if you see the comparison, so lethality rate for 9 countries together, if you include, if you add the lethality rate of 9 different countries together, so it would stand at 2.1. So in comparison to that, you can just see that India alone has of 0.5. So the impact, you can say 9 countries together have 2.1 and India is having alone at 0.5. So it is very high. Of course, we should, always compare it with the other datas in order to know better about the situation. We cannot just know about by looking at the numbers. But the thing is that if we look at a sensitive issue like deaths in the terror attack, okay, so we cannot just look it from the point of view of statistical data. Okay, in the term of statistics only we cannot view it, because you know that there are very high levels of emotional losses which are associated with them, and it should not be looked upon merely from statistics point of view. Okay, it is much more than that. So terrorism is a big issue in India, and also I will tell you that how geographically also we are very prone to terrorism. Okay, so if you see India, I would like to share this you with a map. Just wait. So if you would look at this very simple map here, blue colored is India. Okay, so if you look at it geographically, so India is, it is a neighboring country of Pakistan. Okay, and also it's not showing that, but if we consider the POK region also, so Pakistan and along with it Afghanistan is also there. Okay, Afghanistan is also there. And if we see here in the towards the east, in the east we have the regions, like this is an old map, so the region of Burma, okay, which is now called Myanmar. So these regions, they are very close, and recently there has been a military coup in Myanmar as well. So you can just see to it that we are very much located geographically in proximity to all of these countries, which which are highly capable of practicing terrorism. Most active one being Pakistan in this case. Okay, we share a long border with Pakistan. So of course you can just see to it that India is surrounded by these kinds of countries which practice terrorism. Okay, and it geographically also we are placed in between these countries, so this is again a disadvantage for India for sure. Now let us discuss other things also. Okay, one thing I would like to discuss is what could be done in order to to curb terrorism. So India should play a leadership role, of course, because we are one of the most affected regions. Okay, so there should be a leadership role. Okay, and there should be global and regional platforms should be used by India to make world realize that this decisive battle against terrorism can only be successfully fought when no country will make the distinction between good terrorism and bad terrorism. So you can, there are some countries like Pakistan which supports terrorism. Okay, so they make this distinction between good and bad terrorism, but terrorism in any form is not good. it cannot bring any peace to any country. Okay, recently also we can see the way in which Pakistan is supporting Taliban in Afghanistan. Taliban's captured in Afghanistan. We'll talk about that also. I've already talked about Afghanistan and Taliban in my bilateral issue video. If you haven't watched it yet, just go and watch this. It is going to give you a brief, a big, not brief, but a very in-depth analysis of Afghanistan, its history and history with Taliban. But of course, it's very current issue that Taliban again took over, and I'm going to make a video as a current affair series, of course, to talk about that also. Okay, to add the updates there. So there shouldn't be any kind of distinction between good and bad terrorism, that is for sure. Okay, so this was about terrorism. Now after talking about terrorism, now let us talk about the issues like insurgency, which is very very prominent in northeast. Insurgency is what we are going to talk about. So basically all the issues, they are very very prominent in northeast, so we'll be talking about the issues, security issues in the northeast now. So let us talk about the internal security issues in the northeastern part of India. Okay, so when we talk about the northeastern part of India, so it's having approx 7.97% of the countries of the, if you compare it from the population of India, so it is around 7.97% of the country's geographical area. Okay, area is, this is the geographical area, and the population is around 3.78% of the total India's population. Okay, so you can see that the land in comparison to population is very high. Okay, and population is nearly half of the land. Okay, so there are various geographical, historical and political, geopolitical, ethnic, cultural, demographic, linguistic, socio-economic, geopolitical, etc. All of these factors together have given birth to very complex issues in the northeastern parts of India. So very very important issue or threat is insurgency. Insurgency. Okay, so I will elaborate upon insurgency now. So when we talk about insurgency, so in the words itself you could see the word insurge. So insurge in literal terms means rising up, rising up. Okay, and local people, what happens in insurgency is that the local people would rise up. Okay, they would basically form a group first. They would form a group. Okay, and they will declare the group as this particular group of people would be declared as a rebel group. Okay, and and you know the basic philosophy of this behind these rebel groups is that they do not basically accept the constitution. They do not accept the constitution. Okay, and these groups are usually involved in the underground activities, etc., and sometimes they run the parallel government and a parallel army as well. Okay, so why do we call them as rebel group? Because they rise up against the state. Okay, so many insurgent outfits are operating on the northeastern soil, and it's estimated to be around 200 plus of them operating on the soil. Okay, and we'll talk about different northeast countries separately. So first of all, I would like to talk about Assam in northeast. Okay, so in Assam there are certain terrorist organization like ULFA. ULFA full form is United Liberation Front of Assam. You have to write ASOM, Assam. Okay, so unite. I think it's not correct. Okay, United Liberation Front of Assam. And from them there has been two different kind of subcategories which emerged. Like this group broke into two, that is ULFA I and I. This is I, okay, not one. ULFA I and ULEA, which also came out of ULFA. Okay, ULFAI are around the bordering areas of Assam. ULEA are the pro-talk one, which don't want the bloodshed and all. Matlab not completely, but they are still pro-talk. Okay. Others include other on the Assam itself. NDFB, NDFB, National Democratic Front of Bodoland, BODOLAND, Bodoland. Okay, they are mostly active in the lower or southern parts of Assam, and from that also there has been emergence of NDFB S and NDFBRT. Okay, S here stands for Sauragwan, Sauragura, SAORAI, Raigwara, Sauragwara, and RD here stands for RANJANDI, Ranjandimari, Ranjandimari. Okay, MERI है, ठीक है, ये है. Then others we have are like KPLT, Karbi, People's Liberation Front. Okay, and we also have another one that is, sorry, 4, KLNLF. Okay, which is again Karbi Longri, 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 North Kachhar Hills. They are in the Kachhar Hills Liberation Front. Okay, so these are the certain insurgent groups in the Assam region. Now let us talk about the another region, that is Nagaland. In the Nagaland we have groups like NSCN, National Socialist Council of Nagaland. Okay, and from here there were two insurgent group that emerged, NSCN IM and NSCN K which are the two major one which we are going to discuss in more depth in the upcoming videos. There is a third one also, that is NSCN KK, which is not that major one. Okay, we are going to discuss about these two in detail also in the upcoming videos. Next region is the Manipur region. Manipur. When we talk about Manipur, so there are alone 50% of the all insurgent groups are there in Manipur. Okay, many of the underground activities outfits of different ethnic groups within Manipur. Okay, they have different outfits, like Maiti. Okay, we have others as like Naga, Naga insurgency. Okay, Kuki, Zomi, Zomi. Then we have Hamar. Then we have the other Muslim communities there. Okay, so these are like some of the most important one, but there are even more than them. These are the most important one. Okay, they are all operating as rebel groups. Okay, then we have Tripura. Tripura. In Tripura, we have the groups like NLFT. Okay, that is National Liberation Front of Tripura. Here you don't have to write Tripura. Instead, it is they call it as TWI, Twipura, PU, not Pura even, Tripura, Twipra. Okay, TWIPRA. Then we have from them we have the descendants like NLFT B, we have NLFT SD. Okay, so B here is for Biswa Mohan and SD here is for Sabir Devarma. Sabir Devarma. Debar. Okay. Also, there is another group called ATTF. Okay. So these were all of Tripura. Now let us Now let us talk about Meghalaya. In Meghalaya, there are groups like GNLA. Okay, GNLA, Garo National Liberation Army, which is in Garo Hills. Then we have HNLA, HNL, not A, HNLC. Okay, I'll write the name here, full form here, HYNNI, HANEW, IEW, HANEW, or whatever you want to, however you would like to pronounce it. Just remember the name correctly. TREP, National Liberation Council. Okay, so with many of these groups there have been many of the ceasefire agreements, memorandum of understanding, memorandums of settlement, framework agreements, etc. Many of them has been signed, which we'll talk about also. And in order to reduce the amounts of their insurgency activities, there have been many of the negotiations that happened between government and them, but still it is there. Although it has been, insurgency activities have reduced a lot in northeastern places, in many of the places in northeast, and we'll talk about that also. So this was the basic different kinds of insurgent groups operating in the northeastern soil. We'll be looking deep within these, why these violence happen, what are the reasons, and what are the factors which have led to these things, what is the history behind those factors, and we'll be talking about the all the security apparatus within the internal security, okay, and everything. There are lots and lots of things to talk about, but currently I'm going to stop my video here only, and I hope till here it is very clear to you. We have just begun. We'll be going deeper and deeper into these issues, and we are going to do an analysis as well. So stay tuned for more upcoming videos, and till then, take care, and please don't forget to subscribe. Please, it's like very necessary for us, and I'm just not asking you anything. Just go and subscribe to this channel if you like this video, okay? If you like it, just leave a like so that we get to know also that you liked it, and share it with your friends who need it. So till then, bye bye, take care, and we'll be coming up with more detailed videos on each of these topics. We'll be taking up Northeast for a bit longer, like 2-3 videos would be related to Northeast only, because it is a big issue. Okay, so okay, take care and bye bye. Keep smiling, be healthy.